I wanted to offer something if I can just take the last piece and you guys should feel free to email me at eholland@guardiandiligence.com. But part of what comes into this is why do you want to pay for diligence, right? And what's sort of the ROI or the value case for it? Why don't I pay the cheapest guy on the street to do something? And when I get a quote for $50,000, why is that not the best one? And the way I think about that, which I think is, again, um, I'm not charging enough to be gouging on prices. My prices are very reasonable, and they're fixed fee on purpose. But I think for deals where you're talking about bringing $1 million of cash plus to the table, and for some of these deals, thinking about taking on a personal guarantee, where if you're wrong on your bet, it's financial ruin. And not just financial ruin, like somebody takes your house tomorrow and you're on the street. You're going to get into a nasty situation where the bank closes all your credit lines and stops you from being able to move money and telling you that if you don't work until this situation is rectified, we're going to financially ruin you. So then you're working harder, right, to go get the bank paid. And if you do well, you'll work 2 or 3 years to get the bank paid and you won't get the juice. And so what I think is that when you're thinking about paying 1 or 2 or 3% of your enterprise value for due diligence, it's worth its weight in gold. Because having somebody who's been looking at this stuff for a decade plus, that doesn't do anything else, that knows where to look, that not just knows how to tell you, but knows how to tell you quickly. Like I said, we do an executive summary report out within a week. We're giving you clarity that sort of 85% of the deal breakers are removed. And so now we're talking about 15% and sort of how do you grow the business, not, hey, here's the 28 ways you lose your money. So I think it's very important to think about what you're paying for when you pay for diligence. It's kind of like an insurance policy on your bet. It's like a security guard going through a minefield or a live fire situation. You don't want to go to Walmart and get the cheapest bulletproof vest and go to a gunfight. You want to get the one that you know works. So I wanted to kind of give you guys that because I get a lot of folks, and I know it when I was paying for diligence by myself, nobody wants to stroke a check. But when you realize you're stroking a check, 33 times that size, 50 times that size to get the deal going and subjecting yourself to real financial hurt, I wouldn't encourage you to go light. You want to go with someone who knows what they're talking about.
At what point do we engage you? Pre-LOI, after LOI? Because post-LOI, get something agreed to, you say, this is garbage, we shouldn't buy it. So we're just wondering at what point is this most optimal?
So we're actually working with you guys right now to figure out the answer to that. So if I was talking to you directly, I would say the earlier you get us in, the better, because we can tell you this deal is baloney. Don't waste your time on the LOI. Or better off, that $10 million deal that you were going to offer a full price offer because you loved it and it was 10 minutes from your house and the sun was shining really bright when you went to go see it. I'm going to tell you to start at 7 and just see if you really got to pay 10 to clear the market. Now, somehow we have to make that work for both parties. So a lot of times what I'll do is if you commit to working with me on the diligence, then I'm able to do more deal advisory stuff pre-LOI, right? And so I have several clients who I'm still talking through LOI stuff with them. And they've committed to working with me on diligence. And so it allows me to sort of make that work for both parties, right? Some people call me 2 weeks after they have their LOI and 2 weeks before they have to submit that their diligence is done. That's a very poor choice. It's hard for me to work in a rushed way, and the likelihood that stuff gets missed is exponentially higher. The reason I said I'm working with you guys and working with Acquirer on it is we have some thoughts about how to combine some of the legal diligence and accounting diligence to be able to provide some unique solutions that may be helpful so we can help folks earlier on in the process. If sort of we know that we'll be working with some of you guys on the tail end. And so I know when I was a buyer, the most coveted asset I had was my time. If I'm going to spend a year, 2 years looking at deals, every time I spent 8 months looking at a dog, that's significant amount of the time I have to do this whole thing, right? Or if I didn't see the lie day one, it took me 6 months. I would have, in hindsight, I would have paid somebody a sizable amount of money to tell me the lie is right there, right? Or this is crazy because of something that's not in the book anywhere, but you just don't want to deal with. So I think come early, and I think we're very reasonable about adding value early on in the process, as long as people are sort of fair with us around um, using us for diligence if they're going to, use a lot of our time around advisory. Is that fair, Nathan?
Super helpful. Thank you.
Once you get the $10 million LOI on a business you should have paid $7 million for, it's hard to go backwards. And so that's why I encourage you to try to think about it sooner.